registration exercise for Kenyans living in Uganda is ongoing at the Kenyan High Commission in Kampala. Our correspondent Solomon Serwanja and cameraman Godfrey Badebia were there to witness the process.
What really will be the requirements for the Kenyans to cast their ballots? It's good to have you on the program. It's such a great honor for me to be here at the Kenyan High Commission. We'll start with just a few basic questions, how the registration has so far gone since yesterday.
Yeah, my name is Patrick Odame, Manager Voter Registration with the IEBC. We started off well yesterday with a meeting with the stakeholders where we met Kenyans who are living in Kampala or Uganda. This included the students, representatives from Makerere and Kampala University. We had also the business community around here. We had very good discussion in terms of collaboration and mobilization of Kenyans so that they can come and take advantage of this opportunity to register as voters.
All right, if you can tell us how the reception was yesterday, how many people turned up, were they in huge numbers, and your expectations today?
Yeah, we expected today to have more Kenyans because yesterday was just the beginning. We registered 21 Kenyans. There are others who have also requested to be transferred from one polling station to the next, or from here to Kenya, back to Kenya.
Okay, it's good to have you again. Thank you so much for sharing your views with us. Welcome to the team leader of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission here, taking over the whole process. If you can just tell us the requirements that the Kenyans need to come with to register, and also how many polling stations that we have.
Thank you very much. My name is Joyce Ekwam. I'm the team leader for the IBC team in Kampala. The requirements for registration, especially when you are a Kenyan living in diaspora, is a valid Kenyan passport for new registration. And we would want to actually make it even clear to Kenyans living here that we are also allowing transfers. If, for example, you registered in Kenya and you want to register to vote in Kampala, we are also offering those services. And therefore, we need you to come with a photocopy of the document you used to register initially in the first place. If, for example, you use an ID in Kenya and you want to vote here, we are requesting you to come with a photocopy of the ID. And if you used the passport, you also come with a photocopy of the passport and the original passport for the new registration in Kampala.
Okay. Yeah. Will also this be the same, registration, the voting center for all Kenyans in Uganda, or you have organized other polling stations?
Yes, this will be the only polling station for Kenyans living in Kampala, the High Commission. The Kenyan High Commission in Kampala. This is a ground where we'll be setting the polling stations, and therefore it's good that if Kenyans know that this is the only place they'll be voting from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in Uganda, during the elections and the registration process, we used to have issues with the system, the whole registration system. Sometimes we had errors, and it really took quite a while for us to rectify the whole process. How different is it with the IEBC?
The issue of errors and things like that is something that we cannot actually talk about now, because we have put in place our systems that are very good to go. We have actually hyped the systems, and the systems for registration and voting will be very good for Kenyans to have an experience with. As you can see, we had some of the Kenyans.
That's in Uganda. That same exercise is ongoing in Rwanda, and it has entered its second day. The IBC team has approached leaders of Kenyans in Rwanda Association to help get the 5,000 or so Kenyans there to come and register. Here's a report by our Rwanda-based correspondent, Eugene Anangwe.
I am at the Kenyan High Commission in Rwanda, where the voter registration exercise and verification for those who have already registered is actually taking place. It is day 2 of that particular exercise, an exercise that was supposed to kick off on Monday but did not actually take place because of a few logistical issues here and there. Now, I have managed to speak to the chairman of the Association of Kenyans Living in Rwanda. Let's take a look at what he had to say concerning this particular exercise.
We are happy and we are glad IBC is finally here. The Kenyans in Rwanda are excited and they are going to come and register as voters. So we are very, very happy and we thank IBC and the organizers. And we will definitely come out in large numbers.
Talking of numbers, how many Kenyans are you expecting to be coming here to vote, to register?
Normally, we have regular members of about 5,000, but the number keeps on changing. Could be higher, could be lower, because some of our members have gone back home to register and vote from home. Last time, I think we had about 2,000 who voted from here, but this time around, I think we expect a higher number than that. Yes.
There's been this tendency of last minute, and the fact that looking at day 1, it doesn't seem to be super busy as probably some people might have expected. Do you think that this is going to change, and what do you think is going to help change that and have many of those Kenyans living here in Rwanda eligible to vote come here to register or check in their register if they're in there?
Okay, I was actually discussing that issue right now with the IBC, and the strategy we have adopted as an association, we've sent mails to our members, and we have been doing this for the last 2 weeks. We have also on social media, WhatsApp, we have even phone, and we have encouraged them to come out early. We want to avoid the last minutes because we want to make it different.
I've also been able to have a word with the Kenyans living in Rwanda who have been able to go through the process right here, either registered themselves or just checked through the register to confirm if their names are still there. And this is what they had to tell me concerning what is at stake for them come August during the election.
I think one of the things I'll be looking at is to evaluate the manifesto of the current government, the things they say that they will do. Have they done it? One of them was creating employment. Have they created employment?
I'll be looking at somebody who has a track record, somebody who keeps his word.
From the Kenyan High Commission in Rwanda, I'm Eugene Anangwe reporting.
That's Eugene Anangwe reporting from Rwanda. Of course, we also had Solomon Serwanja from Uganda as IEBC embarks on that diaspora voter registration exercise. Let's now speak to John Maina, Executive Director, Center for Diaspora Affairs, is joining us from our R&M studio in town. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for speaking to us. I'd like to pick your mind on how you think the diaspora voter registration process is going so far. I remember the first day I was speaking to Eugene Anangwe, and he said that process did not kick off on day 1 in Rwanda.
Thank you, Linda, and thank you for having me here. As you indicated, my name is John Maina from Center for Diaspora Affairs, based here in Nairobi. We've been monitoring the diaspora process so far, the registration process. But it hasn't picked up so far because probably it's because of the hiccups that IEBC was not actually prepared, because you see the registration process was supposed to start on Monday this week, but in those East African countries, the process started yesterday, by the way, because it looks like IEBC was not completely ready for diaspora elections. Because, for example, in South Africa, the IEBC team did not even have visas to travel to South Africa. You wonder what they've been doing for the last 5 years. Now I understand they're on the ground. In Tanzania or Uganda, I think the crew arrived, but they didn't arrive with the BVR kits. So they were not able to register the diaspora beginning Monday. So as you can see, there are a lot of hiccups And probably that's why you see the numbers are very low. The registration numbers are very low. So far, I've just spoken to the IEBC official in Kampala, and he told me they've registered only 26 Kenyans in Uganda. I also got in touch with the IEBC official in Tanzania. They've registered 21 Kenyans only. Linda, you can actually see that those numbers are not representative of those countries. Linda, you've been to Kampala. You know how many Kenyans are in Kampala, and as well as in Dar es Salaam. So second day around, you should be expecting at least probably 1,000 Kenyans in Uganda and Tanzania to have registered so far.
May also be a problem. You're saying maybe IEBC was not as prepared as they should have been, but we also do know that Kenyans in the East African countries have been, actually IEBC said they can only register as voters using their passports. And the argument they're putting across is they travel through these countries using their ID. Some of them do not have their passports. So essentially this is going to lock out very many Kenyans who would have wanted to be part of the August 8th general election.
Actually, you're right, Linda, and that is a query we raised with IEBC chairman last week when we had Diaspora stakeholders meeting at LICO, and our position was that we should follow the Constitution. The Constitution says Diaspora should be able to use their passport or ID card. So it doesn't say one or the other. I mean, it doesn't say it's only a passport you can use. It says either passport or ID. And remember, Linda, Kenyans in Uganda, for example, who are in the East African community, they don't travel with their passports to Uganda. Most of them use their IDs. And you can even remember His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta, when he crossed the border last time to Uganda, he used an ID card to pass through the border. So he didn't use a passport, meaning you should be able to use either a passport or your identity cards. After all, what's so different? What is the difference between identifying yourself through a passport or through an ID? All your biometrics are in both those documents. So yeah, that is something that they need to review. Kenyans in East Africa should be able to use their IDs or passport.
Right, let's now focus on the democratic rights of Kenyans. Of course, it's in the Constitution. We all have democratic rights, and part of this should be to allow Kenyans to vote for their leaders. And the concern as well that we've received from people in the diaspora is that they will only be allowed to vote for the president. And they're not happy. They're saying because we are Kenyans, we should be able to vote in our governors, our senators, our women rep. Why are we just being allowed to vote for the president? Is that something that concerns you as well?
Well, Linda, we have a long history of this diaspora election process, which started in 2004 when I'm actually the person who flew from Washington, D.C., where I used to live, under the invitation of the Constitutional Review Committee, led by Dr. Guy, Patrice Lumumba, and Cecily Mbarire. I was invited to make a presentation on dual citizenship and voting rights. And in that presentation, Linda, before the Constitution was promulgated in 2010, we're talking about 2004 when we were drafting our Constitution so that we can infuse dual citizenship and voting rights. In that document that I presented, my proposal was that in the first election cycle, which was supposed to be 2013, Kenyans in the diaspora were going to vote only for the president. And then the following cycle, they were going to vote for president and a governor. And then probably the third cycle, we had proposed they shouldn't vote for a member of parliament because, after all, the member of parliament, for example, in Vihiga, and you're in California, does not represent your interests. So what we had suggested, Linda, was in the third cycle, we had proposed that diasporans should elect their own representative. In other words, the diaspora should have elected a member of parliament, one or two, to go and sit in the August House and represent the interests of the diaspora. You see, a member of parliament in, for example, Karatina or Nyalgunga does not represent your interests, and you're in Los Angeles or in New York. So that's why it's not practical. That's why we had proposed that eventually, as we progressively realize diaspora voter registration and voting, we should allow diaspora to elect their own representative who will go to parliament and represent their interests. This is common practice in many other countries like Nigeria, Canada, UK, South Africa. They have representatives who just represents the diaspora issues only, and they're elected by the members of their diaspora. So that is a good practice that we should emulate and follow.
All right. John Maina, Executive Director, Center for Diaspora Affairs. Sir, thank you for speaking to us on Worldview.